Now it's live. Now it's up and running. All right. Wow. What an absolute mess. Okay. It is up and running over. Hello, YouTube. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, YouTube. Yeah, it was a bit of a headache. Thanks, Miar. It was that was a little crazy. So let me just tell the story a little in a nutshell about tonight there, YouTube. For those of you who are watching or may watch later. It's just par for the course the way this week has been. Just par for the course. I'll tell you what. It has been. So tonight, as you can see over there, YouTube. Hello, those of you who are watching on YouTube at the later date. And I've already told this story over here on Twitch, but I am not a big fan of the condiment bottle tops that they use on the Pro Krill bottles, the Monument Hobby Pro Krill bottles. So I go ahead and I spend the extra $4 or $5 and I get the set of flip tops, right? They're just easier to work with, easier to manipulate. They don't get that crustiness right up here. I can wipe it off if I want to. They don't, and there's, in here sometimes you can have paint dry inside this thing. So this, if I ever have a problem, I just poke a hole in there, just poke it, and got free flow again. There's a lot less air here. There's a lot less air here than there is here. So, well, anyhow, I have these nice bottles of Nova Open Orange. I got 2 bottles here. I actually got 3 bottles, but I sent one of them off to a friend of mine who had just moved house. And so I was working on getting this little tab. You see the little Stay Fresh for Your Protection tab? That goes inside over the neck of this bottle. Well, I was peeling it off, and yeah, Butterfingers. I failed my dex check. So, most of this wound up in my lap and all over the floor and on part of the desk right here. It just went away. So that was just kind of par for the course the way this week has been with work and everything. So I was able to survive, able to salvage it, but slipped, tripped, and ruined the carpet. Yes. Well, I've got a mat down here, and I have hardwood floors, but I've got a mat here, so it won't get onto the actual floor. It's the plastic chair mat here, which I'm thinking about putting the wheels back on this chair, just for ease of sliding in and out. But I took the chair off so I could be a little bit lower to the table. But I can always just make it go lower anyway, just by the thing. But here's the thing I don't like. I just don't like this plastic or this little foam sealed for your protection business. It's just a hassle. I know why they do it. They do it for good reason, but it is a hassle. And then they've got the little foam washer in there that helps seal it up anyway. So, but there it is. So I've got 3 more here in this pile to do, looks like. And these flip tops also work on Cuttlefish Color bottles, so there's that. Now that one came off real nice and easy. That's the way those should come off, quite honestly. But where is the little donut? That one might not have had a donut in it. Unless it got stuck to the thing. No, it didn't get stuck to it. Let me look in these caps that I've got sitting over here. Oh, there it is. There's the donut. There's the little donut. Knew it had to be there. There we go. And we'll put it right inside here. So last Saturday, I was able to help out an animal rescue. Well, an exotic animal rescue. They sponsored a little local pop culture convention called ValleyCon, and in one day they had over 1,100 people come through the door, and I probably did. I had the paint and take is what I was doing. So what it is, it allows people to come in, sit down, they paint a figure, and they take it with you. So I probably had, let's see, 16, 32, 8, 40. I probably had maybe 40, 50, right in the neighborhood of between 40 and a high to mid 50s as far as participants went. So that was nice. They are working on. They're trying to. Their goal is I think $30,000 for an additional wing to their building. So they are called. They are the Zoology Zone out of Hurricane, West Virginia. So if you want to look up Zoology Zone, Hurricane, West Virginia on your device of choice, they have a place on their website that allows you to donate $1 a month. As little as $1 a month, they allow you to donate automatically. Of course, it's a tax deductible, obviously. So check them out. It's hard to find a charity that you're interested in supporting. You know, a lot of charities are linked to religious groups, or they're just a seemingly innocent way to launder money. I think. I don't know. Not sure about some of those. CEOs, most of their 80% of most places Um, donations go to administrative costs. All right, so we've got those now. Okay. Well, I am going to take another quick bio break for just a second. I don't know. Like I said, this week has just been odd. Today's just been, well, it is what it is. So give me just a moment. I will be back. Sorry. Here we go. All right. Back to it now. So, part of the problem, I think. Hey, Savage. Nice to see you. Hey, Dave Hummel. Good to see you over here on on the YouTube side of things. Sorry, I didn't see your. I've got to work on some things with this stuff to work better. Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah, this week has been a little crazy, folks. It has been. Dave Hummel, nice to see you. Good to have you here. Savage Brewski, nice to see you, man. How you been? So, this has been an awful week. And tonight was sort of a little bit awful because I was putting the dropper, I was changing the caps on the Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl, and I completely, I failed my dexterity check. So I wound up having a whole lot of a mess here. So it's been that way though all week between work and this and everything else. So it has been so at work I got the work order, I got the customer request, and I read that it was going to be using 3-phase power, and that's an electrical term. You don't really need to know what it is, but just know that it requires things that are wired differently. So I got all of the materials together, so I thought. And when I got to the job site, what do? I start pulling out materials, and I get things ready, and it's all 2-wire system equipment instead of 3-phase or 3-wire equipment system. So I was down in the bowels of West Virginia. So I had to leave the job site, and I had to go get the correct equipment to do the job, which the whole point of getting the materials together last Friday, was so that I wouldn't have to leave the job site and drive from the middle of nowhere to even further into the middle of nowhere to get the parts. So that's how that goes. All right, so I'm glad that we've got everybody here on the YouTube and the Twitch. Nice to see you all. If I lag in any of the chats here, just know that I don't have my phone out here, so I can't follow everything at the same time. I was trying to have enough time this evening to set up a backstage chat combiner where I can have both sides of the chat on the screen so I could follow that, but I was not able. My computer needed to get a restart, so that chewed up all the time that I was going to use for this evening. Well, why didn't you do it earlier in the week? Because I was gone earlier in the week. Duh. That's just how things go when you have the big dad jobs. So this is the Wizkids Chimera, and that is this month's monthly monster. If you are a subscriber on Twitch, you are entered into the monthly monster drawing. Now, what a subscriber is on Twitch is considerably different than a subscriber on YouTube. But if you are a subscriber on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and, well, you all must regret that I only have one subscribe to share, one subscribe to give, one like to give. One like to give. As I always like to say, when I have all my friends, I have so many friends right now. I know so many people named Dave that I like to call them the Daves of our lives. Like sand through the hourglass, there go the Daves of our lives. So it's just kind of funny. All right. So there's big Daves and little Daves, important Daves and not so much important Daves, and Dave Hummel here, and another Dave that he and I know that we see every Tuesday night. And if you're not subscribed to Build Paint Play on Tuesday nights, it's a great kickoff to your hobby week. If you're not watching Uncle Adam on Monday nights, that's fine. But if you if you happen to have a little bit of time on a Tuesday night and want to watch something really great, they have a lot of little insights on the industry and things that are going on and people that are doing some neat things that you won't hear about unless you're there and listening. This week they had on the gentleman from Turbo Dork. Now, Turbo Dork, I haven't had a chance to use very much of. I only have one bottle of it somewhere here on this desk. But I did use it, and I liked what it did. It was a color shifting paint, but I didn't have the white underneath it to get it to really do the shift. So, anyhow, that was Greg DeStefano, I believe is the gentleman's name. And I met him and his wife at Adepticon this past spring. Nice folks. And if you haven't tried, I don't get any kind of remuneration for this, but if you haven't given Turbo Dork a try, you should. They're really interesting little metallic flake paints. And if you look at some of the stuff that's been done with them, it's pretty amazing. You can actually use it to do some nice highlights. Somebody did a dragon, and it was on display at their booth. Somebody did a red dragon and used their orange metallic to actually do the highlights on the scales, which I thought was just an absolutely brilliant idea. So, oh, yep. Like Myar says, tickle that bell icon. Ding the dong. Myar's wife is evidently... Myar is over here. He's one of the subscribers over here on Twitch. So on Twitch you have followers and subscribers. Myar is a subscriber, so he's going to get a chance at winning the model that I'm painting tonight. But Myar's wife is baking gingerbread cookies. I'll be there. I think I can make your house in about 7 hours, Myar. So hopefully that goes well. So enjoy those cookies. Sounds tasty. So I'm just painting in texture for the fur here. The Nolzur's figures, the Wizkids figures, they've got a lot of fairly thick primer on them, unfortunately. So they kind of don't always have the best texture. So you can go ahead and actually paint fur texture in if you'd like. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it on horses. It actually looks really great. Just remember how animals' fur lays out. Usually it grows from the top down and from the front towards the back. And then there's some places where it goes in a couple of different directions, like around the face here. So here it would, on top of the head, it would go back. And near the muzzle, it would actually go forward a little bit. I'm using slightly too big of a brush for this particular operation. But that's okay. We're just looking for some texture here. And we'll go back and we'll use a little bit more, maybe a little bit more of a pure white to do some even higher levels of highlight here. And really get that out with a much smaller brush. This is a number 2 by, who makes this? Well, this is just a cheap Hobby Lobby watercolor brush, but it is a Kolinsky Sable. So, but it doesn't have very long brushes or bristles, so I don't have a very big belly on it. So that is unfortunate. So it's a little bit stubby. Myar says you're welcome to join us for cookies. Ah, yes, I love cookies. Though I do have to watch my intake of the sugary things. So, even though there's some texture back here for the hindquarters of the goat end of the Chimera here, I'm going to go ahead and just go ahead and paint it. Paint it just like I did with using that, using little dashes just to get some actual texture in there. And believe it or not, in the old days of miniatures painting, before details got to be so good, you would have to paint in your own details. Yeah, believe it or not, you would have to paint in your own details and enhance any texture that might accidentally be there. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. You kids today with your plastic and your 3D printing and everything, you don't know how good you got it. Back in my day, we had to make miniatures out of mud and rocks and twigs and grass. You just don't know how good you've got it. We had to do it while walking uphill to school in snow, both ways uphill. And we were grateful for it too. We didn't know what we didn't have. Wait, that's not really. We didn't know what we didn't have. Now, there's an easier way to do this. I could just paint these hindquarters with white and then go over it with Holy White speed paint and use it as a gray wash. Because there is a lot of texture back here that I didn't have up front. So if I get too much paint in places I don't want it, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Let's see what old YouTube's going. Savage Brewski says, I do know how good I have it. That's why I appreciate 3D prints all the more. P.S. Your objectives are on tonight's plate. Nice. Very cool. I can't wait to see those. Thanks, Brewski. I appreciate that. Thanks for offering those to me, too, by the way. That's very generous of you. Very kind. Folks, if you're not following, if you're not subscribed to Savage Brewski's YouTube channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to his YouTube channel, where he does little hobby projects, little things, little simple things, and makes a little commentary from time to time. I think 4 months ago he made a response video to IDIC beer, Idic beer, as regards the current state of 40K, which I agree very much on a lot of those things, which is why I'm not a big 40. I enjoy the models from 40K. The setting is compelling. It's interesting. But honestly, I'm not really enthused about the way the game plays right now. And it's been one of these weird games. It's a game that has a lot of exceptions to the rules. I find it a rule of a. It's a game of exceptions, right? So I have a rule that allows me to move and shoot this way, and then all of a sudden you drop something weird on me in the middle of my turn, interrupting the flow of the game. Something that I didn't know you could do. So then I ask you about it. Show me the rule. Let me see how it works. You know, it's got a lot of. It didn't improve the way I'd hoped it would improve. I'd like to see. They always say, "Oh, it's got streamlined gameplay," but they really don't, because a lot of things, a lot of the base mechanics, the maths are the same. So, to shoot a bolter, my Space Marine's got a 3 up to shoot, right? Of course, they don't have the fighting matrix anymore, so strength versus strength. So, strength 3 versus toughness 4. You know, that's kind of changed a little bit. Or strength 3 versus, or weapon skill 3 versus weapon skill 4, and that would require a 5 to roll if the 3 is going to hit the 4. And I think those things are sort of baked in now. But I don't. I'm kind of working on my own thing. Which one-page rules are cool. And I think they really are trying to get away from the 40K adjacent thing. They've got a lot of their own models coming out too. So they're trying to become more of a miniatures agnostic, but you can use ours sort of a thing. Like Mantic sort of has that with some of their lines, especially if you play Kingdoms of Men. They don't really have a. They have a selection of the Basalians, but those aren't the Kingdoms of Men. Those are the Basalians. So. But yeah, give old Savage Brewski a subscribe over there on the YouTube. And don't forget to wrestle the thumb here. And make sure you hit the bell icon, the white bell, so that you get all the notifications of when I go live. So, if you want to. Now, Dave Hummel is a painter of extraordinary talent. I've seen some of his work over on Facebook. So, and you too can see Dave's work from week to week if you watch Build Paint Play with Dave Taylor and Jake Krajewski. Absolutely. If you like podcasts about the miniatures hobby, you know, and the nice thing about it is they stay far away from any of the current the culture war stuff, you know, that kind of stuff. They don't get into all that. It's just a hobby, just talking about hobby, just enjoying the hobby. We're not griping about anything over there. We're not. It doesn't get crazy. You got to watch that Jake guy. He might say such outrageous things like, you know, the Detroit Red Wings suck. He might say that. He might even wear his Boston Bruins jersey. So you got to watch him on those. He's a bomb thrower when it comes to that kind of stuff. let's see. Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a slow painter. That's fine. I am very slow myself. In fact, my streams are about the only time I get to do any hobby lately. So it's which is kind of why I started the stream in the first place, was to give myself a specific day and time that I have to hobby, because I was collecting things and not getting anything done. But I understand the 13-hour days, Dave. Absolutely. So, more of a builder than a painter? Well, that's the thing. One day you'll have everything built, and then you'll have time to paint it. I enjoy the building process too myself. I understand where you're coming from there. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of this light gray, this neutral gray here, and I'm going to do some. Actually, this is a sky gray. I'm going to pick out a few little spots on this rock here. Just get some little highlights going. But if you're not watching Build Paint Play on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, you really should. And then, of course, I have my after party after that particular show. When I can. Work took me out of town this week, so I wasn't able to do it. And then I got back to the hotel so late. And then I didn't realize in order to live stream on YouTube. So I've got my 50 subscribers on YouTube, which allows me to live stream from a device. I didn't realize that the account had to be verified. So that was kind of kept me from doing what I wanted to do exactly when and how I wanted to do it on Tuesday. But I got a little bit of a workaround. I actually streamed to Instagram Tuesday night, and it might be up at least for the few days. So, and I'm just kind of working on some Iron Warriors. I've got a road kit that I have that has Iron Warriors for the road. You might call them Iron Road Warriors. Oh yeah, Itsy on there. Yeah, Myar's on there. Myar visits on there from time to time. And then of course Dave Hummel, we see him a lot listening in. Yeah. So Savage Brewski is telling about his terrain project he's working on over at his place. So over here on the YouTube side of things, so that's pretty cool. He's Dave Hummel says he's more of a builder than a painter, as he sits on literally a chapter plus of Marines. Right, exactly. I understand that. All right, so let's see. I'm going to use some of this Nova Orange that I unceremoniously fumbled and spilled tonight. I'm going to use some of this, and I'm going to do some highlights on the dragon head now. So we got some nice highlights on the goat head. Goat head? Go ahead, goat head. Instagram lives are staying up for good unless they change that. I don't know if they changed it up or not, there, Brewski. I'm not sure. I thought that it said that it would only last for like 30 days and then be archived or something. But I could be wrong. Again, it was kind of a stopgap measure, kind of a desperation move, you know. 6 square feet of foam. And it takes ages, right? So very cool. All right, so we're going to use orange to do some highlights on this red dragon here. This is a slightly brighter orange. I think I'm going to use a smaller brush too. So let me use something with a little bit smaller tip here. We'll use the fine detail brush from Citadel. The fine detail brush that looks like it'll hold a shape, but it oftentimes doesn't. Of all things, it dries perfect, but when I add moisture to it, it is not perfect. So we'll just go ahead and get some of the Nova Orange from Pro Krill by Monument Hobbies. And we'll just do a little edge highlighting here on this fin. Just do quick little dags here just to get a little texture again, build a little texture, make some interest. So, just some quick little strokes just to kind of feather that out a little bit. And of course, if you want to help the channel out, help buy me a new paint after I spill it every now and then, feel free to go to my sponsor, Dubby. Dubby is an energy drink. It comes in several great flavors. You can buy it in cans or you can buy it in powder form. And it does well. It doesn't give you the jitters. If you don't like energy drinks, if you're not a coffee drinker but don't want the jitters, Dubby is pretty good in that it doesn't give you the jitters, and at least for me, I don't get that crash down from it like I do with other energy drinks. So, but it's moving on towards wintertime, and wintertime for me is coffee time. But don't always feel like coffee. But check out Dubby and use if you do look on their website and you do want to invest in a little bit of their product, use my code Rocket Fuel, ROKKITFUEL, for a percentage off of your order. I get a little bit back for that. Probably if you make a sizable enough purchase, I will get enough to buy another couple of paints that I will go ahead and spill again. But if you don't, that's fine. Just hit the like, share, and subscribe, and that is perfectly wonderful. If you care to share it, share the stream out, share the channel. That is also acceptable. There are many ways to help support the channel. Most of them are free. Most of them don't cost you a thing. Whether you're on YouTube or on Twitch. So I really do enjoy having a multi-stream, because I know not everybody wants to use Twitch for whatever reason, And we have a lot of people on Twitch in the hobby community. But the problem with Twitch is it doesn't have good discoverability. So a lot of people are also more used to using YouTube. So if that's easier for some people, that is just fine. So let's clear this brush off and repoint it. Pick up a little bit of that orange, that Nova orange, and we'll do a little bit of, we'll work on some of the texture on this dragon's head here. So we're just feathering that orange out just a little bit, just to kind of give more of an impression that it's there. I may just do a quick little glaze back here on the tail, just to kind of give a little bit more of a little more interest. So I'm going to add a little more water there and just kind of work it out. It's trying to dry up on me on both sides, so we'll just kind of let it blend a little. Just do the thing there. All right. And we'll just get a little more orange right here on the very tippy end. And we'll just add a little more water to it and glaze it back. Just kind of make it just lighten up just a little bit right there on towards the very tip. And drag the paint towards where I want the highlight to be the highest color. Because when you break your paint down with water in order to make a glaze, you are actually moving those pigments around in that water. So if you don't have enough water to hold it together, you need to be able to grab onto those pigments and let them put them where you want them to go, basically. That's the whole point. Is when glazing, you're breaking your paint down a little bit, and you want those pigments to go to the highest part. So you're going to drag them where you want them to go, because they're not quite as thick. They're not going to sit where they want them to go. You have to drag them and kind of place the pigment where you want it to go. Unlike when you're just working with an unbroken paint. I say glazing with water and breaking your paint. Breaking your paint is actually different than really glazing, but when you break your paint, you actually wind up putting more paint on the outside. Like it's snail trails, right? So you kind of get a strong. You'll get a strong line of color on either side of your brush where you put it. But down the center, it will flow away from your brush and collect on the edges of your line. So that's not something that you particularly want to have happen. And that's when you actually know that you've broken your paint. Always a pleasure, David Hummel. Thanks for stopping in. I understand the early morning. Absolutely, I've had many of those myself. They do make for a short evening. I'm glad you did stop in. Thanks for being here, and we will see you soon. Catch you on the VODs, and see you on Build Paint Play. Have a good evening. I hope you have a safe and productive day at work tomorrow. Thank goodness it's Friday, right? So have a good evening, David. Nice to see you tonight. Appreciate you being here, man. So we're going to take a little bit of this Holly Berry Red and correct a little mistake that I just did with too much orange right here on the muzzle of the dragon head here. All right, so we'll just do this, and we'll let that kind of just be there naturally. All right. So the next thing is we're going to work some more on the lion body here. I'm going to use the green ochre as our highlight color. Might add a little bit of ivory into it here in just a minute. But there's a couple of places I want to touch up with that. Right here. Shoop, shoop. Right there. Right here. And of course, we'll probably even do a little bit of, well, that's actually going to be brown beige or beige brown right there. Beige brown for the mane here. You could say the center head would be the main attraction. So when dealing with Chimera, you have to understand that this is the main focus of the monster. That center head is the main focus. Oh, yes, yes. By the way, that was a pun. Just in case you were wondering, in case you missed it, that was a pun. We encourage puns here in the pocket dimension of all shapes, form, and manner. No puns are turned aside. Like, like maybe mean-spirited ones. You know, I probably wouldn't really appreciate allowing mean-spirited puns, but if you were being abusive or horrible towards somebody, that would be a no, 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 no. Let's do this kitty cat's ears here. Get them the right color. Want them to stand out from the mane as well. The best, well, Miar, don't you know the best ones are the bad ones? The best puns are the bad ones. And let's see, let's get a little ivory here. What do I got here? I've got, where is the ivory? So I'm going to mix a little bit of ivory into the green ochre. Oh, where is the actual ivory? We've got blonde highlights, arid earth, ice yellow. Ice yellow is nice. Pale sand, skeleton bone. Skeleton bone might just be the color to use. I cannot find the ivory here. Do. I definitely need to clean up my rack here. Tan leather, blonde hair highlights, blonde hair. Let's see, is this the ivory? That's yellowed bone, which is close to ivory, but it's not ivory. I want to use ivory and mix it in. The yellowed bone is a little bit too dark. I know I've got an ivory color here. Well, we'll just use Procryl Bright Ivory, which is not the ivory that I wanted. This is a little bit brighter ivory. I know I've got a regular ivory here somewhere on the desk. I know I do. But I'm not going to fuss about it because we've got enough paints to get the colors we want, when we want them, how we want them. So, remember this train goes until 11 o'clock tonight. Maybe even a little bit later. I don't know. I've just about pretty much made up my time for the week between a couple of long days, Tuesday and Wednesday. And then what time is it for me now? Oh, 8:45. Because I'm in Eastern. I'm in the Eastern time zone, Miar. So here we go. We're going to use this color here, whatever color this is. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint that texture in. Less coverage. Wherever I've got, I painted in fur texture. Put in a little bit less over that last color of ochre. Smaller strokes. I think what I'll do is I'll even get a little bit of the Cuttlefish Colors Merlin's Magic Medium. Yes, folks. Again, not sponsored, but I want to recommend this stuff. If you're having trouble and you can't get it to flow right with water, use this stuff. It's got acrylic medium in there, glaze medium, I think flow improver. It's got a lot of different little ingredients in it. So feel free to use it as you wish. I'm going to put it over here a little bit. Nice big puddle where I can mix it in as I need it. I don't want to mix it right into the color that I'm using. So alright. So right here. Right there, we're going to pick that up. Pick that up, see how it flows. Flows pretty good. And we're going to go ahead and just lightly use the very tippy tip of the brush. Very lightly. I don't want to cover up everything that I've already done, but I am going to use that to guide where I go. And just use little tiny strokes. Almost, not really dots, but almost dots. Basically putting a highlight on the highlight of the hair. So that's what I'm doing. Now, due to some of the vulgarities in the sculpt here and the casting process, some places are very difficult to paint as far as making them look really right. But do what I can. do my best. It is a little bit challenging. These are difficult figures to get cleaned up. But this is a figure that somebody can look at, and even with some of the mistakes on it, I think, they can see what I did. And the whole point of this is to give people options on how to paint their own figures. Which that's what this channel is all about, folks. It is all about showing you that yes, you, right there, you who are sitting on the couch, you who are watching on tablet right there, you can paint great figures. It doesn't take anything to do it. Do you need to be patient? Yes and no. It's not a bad thing to be patient, never is. It's a good skill to exercise. But at the same time, there are little things you can do to help speed the process along. That's up to you, though. This is just my method of paint is very basic. Very basic indeed. Basic paint work reaps great results. So I'm going to put a little bit more of this yellow, this light ivory, bright ivory in here with this green ochre. And we're going to do some highlights on this guy's face. Right here on the tippy tips of his ears. We're going to get those to stand out a little bit more. Right around his mouth, where his whiskers would be. Give it a little bit more of a little more eye, a little more highlights here. Right here, same thing. He's got cheeks just like you or I. You can add a little highlight right here on the top edges of his cheeks. Highlights help define the face away from the rest of the body. So a bright face is definitely a big plus for your miniature. If you can get that little extra contrast in a few key spots. It's a lot easier for human faces sometimes, I think. Animal faces can be difficult. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of gray on the scales. A little bit of a medium gray on the scales there for his... So we got a medium sea gray here. I'm going to use that on his scales of the dragon here. We'll see what is going on over here on the YouTube. cool. All right, so I'm going to add in a little bit of what we got here. What am I doing here? Okay, so using this medium gray. This is medium. What is this? It just says medium sea gray. So medium sea gray. I'll just do some edge highlighting on these scales here. Just something to kind of brighten up. Again, we're talking about contrast. So looking for something to contrast with. Do an edge highlight right down the center ridge on those scales. I'm breaking it off before I hit the very edge. So stopping it so it's not just one continuous line right down the middle. Working with the textures that's actually on the sculpt. Same thing here. Going to go along the top right there where it mates up with the tail there. Just little bit by little bit. Right there. Right along the edge. And some of the scale work right there. It's a little bit messy. It's a little hard to tell what's going on there. But we'll fake it. We'll fake it. Same thing, we'll do the other side of the tail here. The other side with the underbelly scales. A little too much, a little too runny there. So let's go ahead and we'll mop that away. It was trying to get where I didn't want it to go. So we'll mop that away real quick. Clean it right up. No fuss, no muss, no problems. Don't get excited if the paint doesn't go where you want it to go. You can add water, you can flood it out and then wick it away. Or you can let it dry and go back over it as long as it's not overly thick. Where you can actually have some good control on it. So yeah, it's got too much water in it. It's trying, or too much flow improvement or something. It's trying to go where I don't want it to go. So I'm gonna kind of cool it right there for a minute. And clean that off. I'm going to go ahead and clean that off a little bit. Get rid of that. Yeah. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and get a little bit drier paint. Not really thick, just a little bit drier. And just let it go here. No, it's still going where I don't want it to go. And I think it's probably some of the problem with the sculpt. Because this angle right here that I'm working at is actually going right into the joint between some of those scales there. So let's clean that bad boy out. Clean that out and let that dry so that it doesn't keep on frustrating us. Let's go ahead and use a little bit of this ivory, a little bit of this beige brown here. We'll mix a little bit of that together. We'll go ahead and we'll just do another little bit of highlighting on the stone on the base here. Just kind of keep it a little more interesting, where it's not really quite so stark with some of these other colors. Just do that. Let it kind of, we'll just let it play. We'll just let it play. What do you say? Just the right hint of ginger and the gingerbread flavoring. Right? Nice. It always, gingerbread just has that warmth to it, you know. That the smell just even if it's not really warm, it makes everything around you feel warm. So, folks, go to Miar's house for some gingerbread cookies tonight. Cool. All right, so let's just get some straight up cold white here. I said cold white. I've got regular white. I've got a cold white here. There it is. There's cold white. Set this out. And I'm going to take a quick little bio break real quick. And I'll be back in just a moment. So, again, that's the way this week's been going. here we go. Back on it. So, yeah, some of the jobs like what I had this week, they tend to be stressful, and I've actually logged it where the stress affects my guts. We'll just put it like that, where I don't evacuate while I'm there, but as soon as I get home and start relaxing, everything starts flowing a lot better. So that's just kind of a thing. It is what it is, you know what I mean? So, all right, we're going to use some cold white, and we're going to use the cold white on the goat bits. We've kind of gone from a medium gray to medium gray mixed with a regular white, and now I'm actually going to be using a cold white from Vallejo to do a third level of highlight on the white. And if we have to do a gray wash, I will do a gray wash, but we'll see how this works. So, see if we can get a little bit better tip on this thing. Just kind of graze it down. Again, I don't want to cover all the paint that's already there. I just want to highlight those areas and just maybe just do a little touch, just something to kind of enhance what's already there. Little bit. Just adding to that fur texture. Go just a little bit on his tops of his ears here. And a little bit on that neck where we can barely see that, but where it's going to be there. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And then we'll just kind of drag it along some of these parts of the some of this texture is alright. Other places it kind of fades out and you really can't tell what's going on. But they are inexpensive and they're fun to paint. They're already primed, so you don't have to worry about that. Paint sticks to them pretty well. Don't get me wrong, I like the Reaper miniatures as well. I mean, paint sticks to them pretty well as well. You may have to do a little bit more prep work with them, like with an undercoat anyhow. But the Nolzurs, the Wizkids Nolzur's line of figures, generally you can just pop them out of the package. Very little stands in the way of you getting them out of the box and onto the table. So I enjoy them. I like them. They're fun to paint. I highly recommend them for beginner to intermediate. And if you're an intermediate painter and you want something to help improve your skills, just to do experiments on with, these are great figures to do that because they have a lot of texture on them. They are low price enough to where if you feel like you mess up on something, it's not a big deal. You're not really losing much. Usually two humanoid type figures per blister for between $5 and $7 depending on where you get it. Monsters are between 8 and 15 usually. I think the much larger ones are in the $20 to maybe $30 range. Some of them are a little bit more expensive, of course, but generally speaking. All right. I think that's pretty good. I think I can leave the body of the goat alone. I'm going to work on his little horns here. Goat or ram or whatever it is. Sheep. Bighorn sheep. Kind of looks like a bighorn sheep, doesn't it? Is he a goat or is he a bighorn sheep? What do you all think he might be? Oop. Oops. Trying to reach past and get a spot on that horn. And I got it all right on the critter's neck there. Now these horns would be a great place to do a little bit of dry brushing, but no real need for that for right now. just because I'm not going to. I'm just going to just going to hit the high points and let the paint sit where it wants to sit. And we're going to go back with a little bit of this bright, warm, bright ivory and do another pass. And that will be a nice stand out nicely, I think. Perfect, 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 perfect. Yeah, here we go. And if I have to throw a little wash on there just to re-enhance some of those textures, I will do that. Nothing wrong with that. So cool, cool. Looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. So let's go ahead and concentrate on the wings now, I think. Well, let's see. Before I do the wings, I think I'm going to do this guy's horns. So the dragon's horns here. Let's add a little white to that gray. I'll go ahead and work on this a little bit. Went a little high, a little bright with that, but that's okay. The whole point being that's on top of the head, so a little brighter is okay. Let's get a little bit of that. I believe it was the necromancer's cloak that I used. I'll redo some of the lines there. And get some of this going there. Right there. take a little orange here, and we're gonna hit some more of these little highlights here on the snout. Some of the textures here, we're just going to raise them up just a little bit. Okay. And let's get a little bit of that gray. That lighter gray, I think. Go right here. That'll look nice. And we'll come right along here. Right along the back side some more. Yep. Alright. Not too shabby. We'll take some more of this darker gray color. And we'll just do a little touch up on this guy's hooves from the goat side of things, so they're not just stark black. Get some naturalistic sort of coloration going on in there, where there's a little bit of light maybe bouncing around in that hoof, because light does bounce around in hooves like that, because it's a translucent hoof. Hoof is a translucent material. It's made out of keratin, much like your hair or your fingernails. Same stuff. So you're going to have some different colored light showing off in there. So, all right. So let's get a slightly bigger brush, and I'm going to get some blue and some black blue, I think. Dark gray blue, blue black, and we're going to do the wings, I think. So we're going to be doing some wet blending on these wings. So let's see who's over here on the YouTube side of things. Alright, so nobody's watching over here on YouTube. That's okay. I'm sure somebody will later on. That's what the VODs are for anyway. That's the nice thing about YouTube, is they keep it around. So first off, I'm going to get some of this, and I'm going to get some black. So Pro Crow blue black and coal black. Mix these up, get these nice and going here. I'm going to get a larger brush that can hold a lot of paint in its belly. What we got here? This will be fine, I think. Take some black and some blue black, and we'll get a nice mix from the front edge to about the middle part of the wing. Having a hard time getting hard to reach areas, I am. I understand. Usually it's easier to paint the hard to reach areas first, and then work your way from the inside out. Alright, so black to blue black, and we're going to start out here. So let me pick up some water. pick up some glaze. We'll pick up some of this Merlin's Magic Medium as well. There's some schmutz on here, I think, left over from when I cleared that off. That's not good. Alright. Let's pick up some black here. A little black right there. Clean that off. And we'll get some of the blue black. And we'll put that right here. And we'll mix those two together. The black and the blue. And the blue black. So now we've got a little bit of blue in the blue black. And we're going to just go there. Same thing here with the middle. Do that. And bring the black down to meet that. Blue black. And the black. Bring the black right down here. Add actual black right there. Blue black in the middle again. Get some black, load up black again. There we go. Now we're going to use the dark gray blue. Dark gray blue, and we're going to use that on the trailing edge of the wings. So add a little water, get that wet again. Add this right here. Add this right here. Add this right there. Bring that up. Bring that all the way up here. And then we'll bring that mid-tone, we'll bring down and we'll meet that right there. Add a little more water here. And we'll just let that blend together. get a little dark there, and a little right there, and a little bit of that blue right there. That blue is a nice contrast to the that red of the dragon right there, I think. So we'll just let those colors blend up right there naturally and let it dry in place just like that. So a little wet blending action here. So I'll just kind of let it do what it's going to do. I don't think I want to really force it, so to speak. So add the blue here, that blue right there. Right along here. Add some right there. This is the that mid gray, mid black blue color, and here's the black right here at the very leading edge here. And we'll blend that all together. Add a little water and let it do its thing. So just doing some wet blending here. Black to blue. That's a weird looking blue coming out of there. right there, right here it is. So, all right. So we're gonna let that set, let that dry. I'm gonna watch paint dry for a minute or two. Oh, that is where it needs to be for the time being, for that exact moment. Use a little bit of that dark blue black right there. Actually, some black right there. Blend those two together. And put in a little bit of this dark blue here. Add a little more of the black this way, right here. Actual black, stronger black, right there. It looks like it's thick, but it's really quite thin. It just has a lot of stand up on it. So. All right, we're gonna let that dry for the time being. And then maybe even use a lighter blue, maybe ultramarine. I don't know. Maybe even take it another step away. I'm not sure. Looks like this is trying to do something. Trying to flow where it doesn't want to. This paint is a little too flowy right now because I put a lot of water in it to get that nice blend, so I didn't obscure any detail. So it may not be doing what I want it to be doing exactly. So that's okay. We'll get it. We'll get it. That's the nice thing about dragon-like wings or bat wings like this is there's a lot of real estate there that you can play with. So don't be afraid to try a little wet blending on something like that. It's a good place for it. Definitely a good place for doing some wet blending. Alright. I need to stop putting paint on it, or else I'm going to really have some troubles. Alright. Oh, getting cool in here, and I'm sitting here. So, alright. I guess I could work on the underside of the wings while I let that dry, but I think I'm just going to let it be what it is for right now. Just let it dry. I think I'm going to set it aside, though. Set it aside. Let it do its thing. And, yeah. Work on something else. See if there's something else I can work on here. I don't know if there really is. I've got enough things. I kind of want to take a little break. So maybe we'll take a little break. Maybe let's take a 10-minute break, maybe. And yeah. So maybe take a 10-minute break here. And I'm not sure what else I want to paint right offhand. I got stuff on the table here. I just kind of, I don't know. Hey, Midril, nice to see you. Thanks. I will take the break. It's a good idea. And yeah. So I'm just take a little break. We'll use my usual break screen, which is a bio break. I like it. It's okay. So we'll be back in a few, about 10 minutes. Give this paint some time to dry up even. All right, here we go. And we are back. Had to get a little fur therapy. Had to pet the old kitty cat. Felt good. Get a little stretch, little leg stretch going on there. Got something to drink. Alright. Wings are still wet, so we're not going to do much here. I want to do the eyes and the mouths of all these wee beasties here, but the problem is the wings. The wings are still wet, so I'm going to let those dry up. Let them dry. So, just watched my game envy brush. Nice. Nice. Good idea. Never a bad time to take good care of your brushes. Your brushes are an investment, and you can make brushes last a long time. Even cheap synthetic Walmart brushes you can make last a long time if you take good care of them. So there's no excuse for dirty tools. What's it? The old saying, you look like you've been rid hard and put away wet. So always want to take care of your brushes. So, well, while we wait for that Chimera, while we wait for these wings to dry up, let's go ahead and continue to paint some of the terrain bits here. We worked on those last time. They're pretty well done. There's a few things I'd like to do to those before I put them in the old usable box. So we've got some brown out here on near the palette anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and do some barrels and piles of barrels, also from Wizkids. So we'll do some barrels and piles of barrels here while we wait for that to dry. Here's a pile of barrels. There is some also little pieces of clear acrylic or clear plastic. I don't know that it's acrylic, but that's supposed to go in the top of that and make it look like there's a liquid in there, which is pretty cool, but I'm not going to worry about that right offhand. That's a neat touch, but these are easy to get, and if I ever want to do that, I can get another set. I've got several sets, actually, of those, so I'm going to go ahead and, yep, just clean up that edge around the barrel here. And get all the plastic shavings back onto the palette here, so because that's always something that you should always do, is get your plastic shavings on your palette so that they work their way into your paint. And yeah, nothing like ruining a paint job with little pieces of plastic in your paint. Just you know. Of course, you don't have to use that side. You could use that side too. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to use a little sanding stick to take that off there, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, a good break is a good time to clean up your tools and get them organized and the like. Just like Miar said, he just washed his Game Envy brush. Game Envy is a nice. They've got a nice product. So, I believe they're vegan. They call their brushes like vegan friendly brushes, which I didn't know was a thing, but evidently it is. So, and I'm going to rescribe these lines here for what it's worth, if I can. Yeah, let's go ahead and take this and glue that in. I think this is designed to actually pop. I think this is designed to pop this in and then pop it out, but I'm not going to worry about it. So, pop this back out. So, interchange with that with the liquid bits, but no point in doing that. So, I'm going to go ahead and glue that right in. Take a little bit of paper towel and get that out of that edge right there. Some of the details are getting filled in there with the glue, but that's okay. This is just a terrain bit anyway. And not every figure that you do has to be perfect. So it does not have to be competition grade perfection. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. Some people say, well, they just don't have any patience. They don't have enough patience for painting miniature. Well, you don't really need that much in the way of patience. You just learn the process and go with it. It's not really that difficult. People think, I think people add too much stress to the process. They think they have to do it just so, and it's not really just so. I tell people don't worry about coloring out the line. Don't worry about coloring outside the lines, because if you get outside the lines, it's okay. You've got more. It's number one, it's just paint. So number two, as long as you're not putting paint on super thick. If you make a mistake, you can go right back over it in the next pass and clean it up. So the details come along later on. Don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself out when it comes to painting. As long as you're not just glopping it on super thick, there's always a chance you can go back over and fix the mistakes. And you might even find that some mistakes turn out to be exactly what it needed, and you just go with it then, and you pivot. You do something different than you had expected. You never know what the figures are going to wind up looking like when you start after you start a project. What was it that Frodo said to Bilbo? Be careful, my boy. You never know where the road is going to lead you. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began, and I will follow if I can. Yeah, just and if you find that it's causing you a lot of grief, set it aside and try a different model. Or set it aside for a couple of days and come back to it with fresh eyes. You know? If you're having trouble with one spot, well, for Pete's sake, don't keep putting paint on it. You'll just ruin it. That's about the only way you could ruin something is if you're putting too much paint on it. But even then, there are remedies for that. I tell people you can't hurt it's plastic and it's paint. You can't hurt it, it can't hurt you. So there are things you can do to mitigate the risks involved. But quite honestly, don't get so worked up about it that you give yourself a bad time. This is supposed to be a fun, engaging, and relaxing hobby. Just slap that paint on there and go with it, you know? That's the thing. I think these wings probably could have been done better too, but I also want to get one, I want to get it done, and two, it's pretty doggone good for where it is right there. So we'll get the bottoms of those wings done up here in a little while. I just want to let that dry before I go wrestling with it again. Because nothing's worse than to put a big old thumbprint right in a lot of your hard work. I guess I don't really need to paint the bottoms of the barrels where they're going to be sitting on the ground. But I could actually break off this barrel and have it sit like this. But then this barrel would look really weird because it's just kind of hanging out. It would just be hanging out on its edge, flopping out there. So what I'm working on here is kind of interesting. If you look at Savage Brewski's um, YouTube channel this week, he actually does a little video about objective markers that he's been printing up for his one-page rules games. And so you could use something like this for that. I'm going to set those right over to the side there. And we'll make that the bottom. We'll make this the top. Oh, let's see. We'll get a little bit of a little bit of sticky tack here. And here's what we'll do. Water. Just going with this beige brown. It's a little on the thin side. That's okay. I can just get good coverage and let it flow into the crevices and cracks and low places. And I can do another layer if I want, another layer or two even. Just build up the colors without having a lot of paint build up. And this is the paintbrush I should have been using for doing that wet blending. It was sitting right here looking at me right in the face. And it didn't even register. Oh bother, I am but a bear of very little brain. Oh bother. But Miar touches on something is don't get so way over obsessed with what you're doing on a model that you're making yourself upset or frustrated. And if you are, just walk away for a minute or two. Set the model down. Go get a drink of water, maybe a cup of coffee, or maybe something stronger, whatever your favorite poison is. You know, don't get so tied up in being perfect that you miss the point of having fun. I'm going to use a little bit of black here. I'm just going to kind of let it do that. And I'm going to get a little bit of water on the old brush. And I'm going to take that black and I'm just going to let it glaze out. Let it glaze out. And a little more water. Just let it glaze out. A little more water. And we'll let it glaze out. Just letting it glaze out. Do the same thing here. Right there. And then we'll just let it glaze out. Add a little more water. Just let it glaze out some more. Try to make that blue just a little bit brighter along that trailing edge. And just going to want to let it glaze up just a little bit more so I can get just that a little fuller effect going on there. The wet blending was good, but I think letting it glaze up a little bit will make it just even better. Let that dry. I think that brightens that transition up a little bit better too. Yep. Yeah, that's a nice. It kind of brightens things up considerably. So let's go ahead and start working on the bottom here. Here and here and here. We'll go ahead and get that mid-tone right here, and we'll mix that right in there like this. And then we'll get that bluey blue, more blue color over here, right here. Now, start with this black and this blue and this gray. We'll mix these right here like this. So black. Darken up the front just a little bit. Get that black going. Bring some more of this blue back onto the back and the right there. And since it's still wet, we can blend it really nicely and do what it needs to do here. See, my orange yellow work is looking quite bad. Nice. Nice. Very cool. Orange and yellow is always a fun one to get right. For sure. Alright. Black up on the leading edge. Nice. Glad to hear you're having a good time with your orange and yellow. Put the gray in the middle. Sounds exciting, Miar. Always nice when a plan comes together. And then the blue more towards the back here. I'll mix those two colors together a little. Mix those two colors together and bring the black up in here. Black up in here. All right. Wet blended the bottom and the top. Looks pretty good. Pretty stonking good, if I do say so myself. Let's add a little more blue back here. Just to brighten things up just a little bit on the underside. Add a little more blue. Just a little more blue. Have to take a photo tomorrow, having issues with the dead battery. Oh, understandable. Yeah, dead batteries are never any fun. Yeah, well, I'll look forward to seeing that this weekend on the Discord or the Instagram, whichever one you use the best. Whichever one works best for you. I'll be looking forward to seeing that. Seeing a picture of what you accomplished tonight, Miar. Dead batteries aren't any fun, but at least you made some progress with what you were working on. So that is victory, amigo. That is definitely victory. We're looking for victories. So hopefully you have some victories in your painting hobby. Things that make you feel good. Things that make you feel accomplished. But little defeats don't necessarily ever. A little defeat here and there never really negates a win. So we want more wins than defeats, obviously. But the defeats allow us to learn a new thing or two every now and then, too. So nothing wrong with a defeat if we learn something new from it. So the trick is to not getting discouraged and knowing when a defeat is a defeat as opposed to a lesson. Fact is, it's always a lesson. The question is, what are you going to do about it? That's the lesson. I gotta say, the doing wet blending on these big old fat dragon wings, bat wings that are on some of these critters, has been quite enjoyable of late, I must say. It's just a lot of real estate to do something really neat with, you know? So. Well, I think I'm in a good place to put a pin in it for this evening. The next stop is going to be the mouths and the eyes, and then do a little bit of black, re-black the phalanges here, the framework on these wings. So I think that's what we'll do is we'll put a pin in it for tonight, and I may do a stream this weekend a little bit just to get ahead on this. I don't know. This has 3 heads, so I don't know where I'd stick another head. So, anyhow, I think that's pretty good. Coming right along. The sculpt is a little challenging. There's some bad things about this one. Like there's a seam line right down the middle of this guy's face. Whereas they could have molded it so that this thing popped in to the mane, but they've got a mold line right down the middle. I don't like that. Not much I could do about it. But got some good colors on here. Some good colors. Little subtleties here and there. So I think that's good. And yeah. I think we're just going to go with what we got here. So, 10:36. I think we're going to go ahead and call it an evening. Did some good work here. Saw some good people. Thanks for visiting me on YouTube as well. Those of you who came over and sat on YouTube. So, the YouTube stream is going to go dead now for the evening, so good night to YouTube. As I always say, the sun is coming up tomorrow and the world is a better place with you in it. We'll catch you all next Tuesday at least. And Thursday I will probably be doing my Thanksgiving stream, painting up the Miltilda that I built last year on the Thanksgiving stream. So, end stream over here at YouTube. Good night, YouTube. And